having toddlers around the house on a regular basis is an opportunity to learn new things that, well, you didn't realize. Obstacles that didn't seem to be obstacles, and now they're grand obstacles. And little things that seem to take over your time. In this second segment of Learn to Roar, Part 2, we're talking about the second pillar of the philosophy, Learn to Roar. And the second pillar of the philosophy is ownership. You've got to take ownership in your life. Ownership is the currency of maturity. Here's what I mean by that phrase alone. In order to be considered mature by most people around you, you've got to be willing to take responsibility for the things that you do, the things that you think, the things that you feel, the time that you spend, and what happens as a result of those things. When you don't take responsibility for those things, when you don't take ownership of your own outcomes, you lose. Because anything that you won't focus on enough to take ownership and say, that's on me. I messed this up. I forgot to do this. I let this slip. I didn't see it as important enough. Whatever that dynamic is that prevents what you were supposed to do from happening, if you can't take ownership of what caused it and the final result, you won't be seen as mature, and people will no longer trust you to hand projects to you. That's just a reality. That's the way it is. Ask yourself, has there ever been a time that I trusted someone to do something and they failed to do it? Has that ever happened more than once with the same person? Do you find yourself relentlessly going back to be disappointed by their failure to act on whatever it was that you trusted them with? See, when you're not taking ownership of the things that you say you will do, of the words that you declare, then maturity is in question. Now, don't mistake maturity for age. They are not the same. I know some very mature young people who are wise beyond their years, who are responsible for everything that they say and everything that they think and everything that they feel and everything that they do, and they take responsibility for that. They take ownership of their own outcomes. They take ownership of what they allow into their mind. They take ownership of the words that they speak. They take ownership of the way that they treat people. They take ownership of their assignments. That's some next level stuff. But I also know some 50 and 60-year-olds who are leading organizations who still blame other people when something goes wrong. Having a 2-year-old in the house, almost 3 now, the potty training joy that is potty training, the pull-ups overnight and underwear during the day transition, from time to time leaves you with the morning surprise. But here's the fascinating thing about a 2, almost 3-year-old is that sometimes they wake up in the morning with that deposit, that surprise in their drawers, and they don't remember doing it. And they might even ask you a question like, who pooped my pants? Because I did that yesterday, and now here it is in my... And it's really easy to put that blame on someone else if you're 2. Unless you have a medical condition, if you're 22 and you're still pooping in your own pants and blaming it on somebody else, that's immaturity. There's something wrong here. I know it's a pretty graphic metaphor, but let me ask you this question. Are there actions in your life that you take on a regular basis? Maybe it's a habit. Maybe it's playing video games till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and then being upset and irritable when someone comes to wake you up for school. Are there nights that you stay out way too late on a work night when you know you've got to be at work at 7 o'clock in the morning and you're groggy and you're not nice to people and you're grumpy and you want to blame it on everybody around you for being irritating and annoying, while completely ignoring the fact that the reason you're groggy and annoying is because you stayed out too late on a work night? Do you do your work to a kind of level, as opposed to all out, all in? You give it everything that you have, you run as hard as you can, as fast as you can, to get your job done, to finish the tasks that only you can finish, the things you were assigned to do. And yet, when you do it kind of, instead of 100%, it comes back to bite you. You don't see the sales results that you want to see. You don't see anything happening. You're not moving the needle. You're not moving forward in progress. And yet it seems like you want to blame people around you for why you didn't succeed. You can make all the excuses in the world, but until you take ownership of your actions, you will still be asking at the end of the day, when your paycheck is too small, when your income is gone, when your car is being towed away by the repo man, you'll be asking yourself, who pooped in my pants? How did all this go wrong? If you want the currency of maturity, own your actions. Additionally, you have to own your attitudes. Maybe you've had someone say to you, or maybe you found yourself saying, "Look how you made me feel." While it may be true that someone's actions, behaviors, the words they say to you influence the way you think and feel in a particular moment, thinking and feeling are your choice. Your attitude is the equation created by what you think and how you feel. And if what you think is all jacked up and how you feel is all jacked up, then your attitude is going to be all jacked up. And if what you think is right but how you feel about it is jacked up, your attitude's still going to be jacked up. And vice versa. If what you feel is a mess and what you think is right, it's still going to be a mess. The challenge that we find most people in is they believe that their attitude isn't their control. They believe their attitude is circumstantial. They believe there's enough evidence to prove that what's going on around me affects my attitude more than I do. And while it may be a question of focal causation, what you focus on is the cause of the problem. Because you can see out of your eyeballs the people around you and hear from your ears the people around you, the environment and the circumstances. You may perceive that all of those things impact your attitude, but the truth is, how you feel, that's your choice. And what you think, also your choice. You can't necessarily change every circumstance that you're in, but you can change how you choose to respond to it. And how you choose to respond to it is how you feel about it and how you think about it, and that is your attitude. You've got to be willing to take ownership of your attitude, to take that second, that 2 seconds, 5 seconds, whatever you need, and change the way you think about something regardless of how bad the circumstances are. Most circumstances in life, big gigantic issues or little tiny issues, can be changed with one tweak. And the most common tweak to change your circumstances is your perspective. Perspective is how you look at things. It's how you choose to think about it and how you choose to feel about it. The moment you take ownership for how you think, how you feel, and how you view the world, your attitude will change. And attitude is part of ownership. Attitude is huge. In fact, it's going to permeate all 4 of the pillars of the philosophy of Learn to Roar. The attitude in relevance is understanding it's not about you. So if you focus your thoughts and feelings only on you, you're going to impact others in a negative way. You will not resonate with them because they will see you as selfish. If you don't take ownership of your attitude, it's going to bite you. We'll talk even more about attitude in the next section. The words that you speak. You ever just spoken out words that they don't support your own self-confidence? They speak negatively about what you're capable of. They speak negatively about what you believe about yourself. I'm a big fat dummy. I'll never be any different. That's just the way I am. I was born this way. I've always been irritable. I've always had a bad temper. See, those affirmations, those positively spoken declarations, even if they're negative about you, hateful toward people around you, because you allow those to completely run through the thought process, the notion comes up in the back of your mind, it utters up from inside what you believe about you, and then it spills out of your mouth. And when it does, it's like toxic battery acid or nuclear waste. It's going to consume everything around it. It will change your attitude. You may say, I'm a confident person, but the words that are coming out of your mouth don't sound like confidence other than the word confidence. Everything else sounds like, I can't do this, I'm going to fail, and you repeat it until you believe it, and then you live it. Because when the affirmations coming out of your mouth are hateful toward you or hateful toward others, it will change your attitude. It will change how you think and feel about yourself. Those affirmations will change how you think and feel about other people. And as they do, you'll begin to lose control of your circumstances. You may be the kindest person in the world to other people around you, but when you speak negatively about you on a regular basis, that hatred spilling out of you causes other people to wonder, why would I want to be their friend? If they can't even stand themselves, why would I want to be around them? If negativity and hatefulness and crude joking and rude behavior, if that's all they ever say, why would I want to hang out with them? Until you take ownership of your affirmations, the words coming out of your mouth, the things that you speak over your own life and the lives around you, until you take ownership of those things, they stand the risk of destroying you. There are people all over the world who have millions of dollars and are taking their own lives because though the world may see them as valuable, important, influential, impactful, they see themselves differently than that. And the words coming out of their mouth don't illustrate who they really are. You've got to take ownership of your affirmations, because ownership is the currency of maturity. It's an immature person who hasn't got a full, healthy view. Now, understand too, overconfidence, arrogance, narcissism, manipulation, those are affirmations as well. They start with the way you bubble up inside and then they spill out of your mouth and they demean other people. They hate other people. They put you above everyone else. You won't be relevant that way. You've got to take ownership of your affirmations to be realistic and positive about who you are. And finally, you hear people say it all the time. There's just not enough time in the day. There are books out there on time management, and the truth is, you can't do anything about it. The second hand on my watch spins at the same speed as the second hand on your watch. The minutes click away at the same pace in my life that they do in your life, in Bill Gates' life. The reality is we all get the same amount of time, and you really can't manage time, but you can manage how you use it. And every book that I've read worth its salt on time management comes back to that principle, back to that reality. You can't change time. You can only change how you use it. How much of it you invest in bettering yourself and growing your opportunities and changing the lives of others, and how much you invest in just meism, just being important to me, just being relevant to me, just me. There are those things that invade our space and our time. They cause us to not complete the task that we had in front of us, and eventually we just let the task go. Or do we come back to that task at a later date and say, I'm going to stick with this until I'm done with it. I'm not giving up on this that easy. See, those are decisions that you have to make. And they are decisions, just like your thoughts and your feelings, your attitudes, how you use your time is your choice. What you allow to invade your time, it's your choice. Where you choose to redeem that time, it's your choice. Now, sure, there are family members and there are job assignments and there are unforeseen circumstances that are going to come into your life and steal away time that you will never get back. The question is, will you allow those demands of your time to overrun you? Or will you move the things of priority that must be done into another time bracket to get them done, rather than just let them be dismissed and never happen? That's your choice. I've felt those days. I know exactly what it feels like. When everyone is pressing in on you and everyone wants to gobble up a little bit of your time, you feel like you're in an ocean of piranha. And all of them just want a minute, but a minute turns into many more minutes, and those minutes turn into hours, and then you look up and suddenly the entire day is gone, and all of the productivity that you had planned for that day is gone, and all of the things you intended to accomplish are not accomplished, and you don't know what to do now. That happens to everybody at some point. The question is, do you have the mental fortitude to apply yourself in the gaps to accomplish what you have to? Number one. And number two, do you have the ability to say no? Ultimately, ownership of your availability is your call. What you do with your time, it's your choice. And there are people who will should all over you. They will tell you why you should have done things for them, why you should have stood in the gap for them, why you should have finished their work, why you should have ran their errands, done their tasks, whatever it is. Don't let them do that. There are things that you are responsible for helping with, for doing for others. Do those. But how you manage your time, how you manage your availability is key to success. It's also a huge sign of maturity. Were you unavailable because you were playing video games? Were you unavailable because you decided to stop and shop for 3 hours? Were you unavailable because you were hanging out with friends in the park doing nothing? Were you unavailable to succeed because you were sidetracked with not succeeding? It's a sign of maturity how you own your availability. And if you refuse to own your availability, somebody else will. If you refuse to manage your time, someone else will. If you refuse to fill in your calendar with tasks that need to be done, somebody else will fill in your calendar with tasks they want done. And if you refuse or fail to own your availability, someone else will be glad to apply your availability to their success. It happens all the time. So for just a quick review, ask yourself those questions. Who pooped in my pants? Was it me? Am I taking ownership of my own actions? Look how you made me feel. If you ever feel like you need to say, look how you made me feel, you've just given ownership of your attitude to someone else. And if you feel like your time and the words that you speak about yourself are being demanded by someone else, you need to take ownership of those. Within the pillar of ownership in the Learn to Roar philosophy are 4 areas: actions, attitudes, affirmations, and availability. When you learn to take ownership of those things, you can change your destiny. It's totally up to you. 2 pillars left in the philosophy of Learn to Roar. Love to share them with you. Come back here and join us again. We'll be back tomorrow. If you haven't seen the first part, what it means to be relevant. Relevance is the currency of the information age. Go back and watch that episode. You'll understand what I mean by that. If you'd like to get the rest of these episodes on the Learn to Roar philosophy and all the other leadership stuff that we teach right here every day, you can subscribe to the Tell It Like It Is fan page on Facebook. You can subscribe to the J Loren Norris channel on YouTube. Or you can get it on iTunes and they'll download it for you to your device every day. iTunes podcast, just search my name, J Loren Norris. In the meantime, like, subscribe, share, comment. We'd love to know you're out there. Love to hear your feedback. I'm J Loren Norris, and you've been watching Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.